challenges your soul.
You'll forgive me if I just take a moment to look at all of you from the rock. I just want to drink this perspective in this final time. When I was a young person, I was told many times that I was overly emotional. I was labeled a crybaby. I was considered too sensitive and told that I needed to develop a thicker skin. I needed to show that I had some control. The implication being that if I displayed all of my emotions, the fullness of what was happening inside me, I was somehow weak or unreliable. I was supposed to be tough and strong and resilient and learn to let mean things just roll off my back. My feelings were unprofessional. They derailed agendas, or at the very least made others uncomfortable. I tried really hard to mask my big feelings, to only show those feelings that fell into the acceptable range. Between you, me, and the windows, I wasn't very good at it. And so anytime I felt my emotions were going to spill over, I retreated. If my emotions were close to the surface, I would stay home from the party. I would leave the meeting, or I would simply shut down in place, withdrawing my attention and my participation. Developing an eating disorder made it easier to push my feelings down, but that, of course, was unsustainable because I couldn't connect with people emotionally in the way that was natural for me. I felt isolated and alone, even in a crowd. And eventually that pain became too much to bear. And I surrendered to my need to feel and express this integral portion of myself that I had squelched for so long. However, I had been denying and ignoring and stomping on what was happening in my heart for such a long time that I found I had few skills for how to give voice to it. And that became my quest. To answer questions like, how do I share without oversharing? How do I communicate my feelings as they develop rather than waiting until they just explode all over everyone? How do I allow my big emotions and others' big emotions to exist in the same space? I found many of the answers to these questions in the 12 steps and in the writings of Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, Melody Beatty, and Brene Brown, among others. More importantly, I found that I needed communities within which to practice what I was being told and what I was reading. I needed places where deep emotional sharing was not only okay, it was celebrated. I needed to be able to let my guard down, to be vulnerable, and to rest in a community of love, or what Margaret Wheatley calls an island of sanity. When I found these spaces, in community with others who felt their feelings deeply and openly, I was not only healed by them, I was forever radically changed. I was no longer willing to be in relationship with folks who expected me to swallow my emotional truth. I needed to be with people who showed up for each other as whole, authentic, genuine beings who were accountable to and responsible for one another. It was Unitarian Universalism that gave me a name for this type of healing, committed relationship: covenant. Y'all knew that I wasn't going to go through this service without telling you again that covenant has become one of my favorite words. A covenant is a sacred agreement of how we intend to treat one another, how we intend to be together. It is a declaration of our embodied love for one another. A covenant, paradoxically, commits us to accept each other just as we are and challenges us to call each other into being our best selves. We covenant to hold each other's hearts and lives with gentleness and compassion, and to learn how to grow together into an even more powerful force for justice and love and belonging. And being in covenantal community is transformative. It transformed me into a person whose deepest longing was to create and hold space for just this type of spiritually intimate relationship, which is how I describe ministry. And so I arrived here 3 years ago with a commitment to be honest and vulnerable with all of you about who I am, what I feel, and what matters to me. And you have met me with that same level of openness and sincerity and emotional truth. We have learned together, raged together, struggled together, grieved together, and found moments of exuberant joy and boisterous laughter together. And because of the love that we find in this place, the love that we live in this place, we have all been transformed. I have been in countless gatherings where everyone brought a unique perspective and each idea was given voice. And we all learned and broadened our individual understandings to include what had previously never even occurred to us. In board meetings and team meetings, I have witnessed creative solutions emerge from fluid, collaborative processes where you blended disparate viewpoints for an outcome that no one person could have envisioned. I have been a part of small group sharing where you forged deep heart-to-heart connections, shared the truths of your hearts, and freely offered each other essential support. And I have participated in educational opportunities where we surfaced uncomfortable and regrettable behavior and thought patterns, and vulnerably committed to one another to do better. And together we have done hard things. We have taken up the challenge of doing ongoing anti-racism and anti-oppression work with the 8th principle. We have committed to defending and engaging our democracy and building skills for activism for the earth and all our fellow earthlings. And we have weathered together over 2 years of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we have held each other tightly and adapted more than we ever thought we would need to, even from a distance, through its heartbreak and loss. We have formed and shaped each other through our shared experience and our connection. I feel incredibly blessed to have been able to participate in this beloved community, to have been in covenant with all of you for the last 3 years, to have shared our big feelings with one another. I have treasured the opportunity to get to know what is special and precious about each of you. And we have gotten a little bit closer each time that we have been together. I have encountered the sacred that dwells in this place and among us. I have experienced your love and how warmly you welcomed me from the very beginning, how quickly you allowed my voice to be heard, how openly you let me observe you. And I have seen your love in your acts of fellowship and service to one another. It has been an honor to come together with you to love the hell out of the world. Because I believe that love is the promise and potential of our movement. Love is an embodied emotion. Love that we feel in our tissues, in our muscles and nerves and breath and beating hearts. Love that we demonstrate in actions of care and concern. Love is a verb, and our world craves it. We have spoken so often over our time together about the fact that our society is deeply divided and competitive. It is focused on power and control. It is unjust and oppressive. And the fear and anger it generates moves into our bodies and can become toxic. It can be a challenge to even imagine what a covenantal society could look like. But I have seen it. I have felt it, and I will be willing to wager that you have too. I suspect it is a large part of the reason why each of you returns here every Sunday, to be reminded in body and spirit what living love feels like. It is here that we become what we repeatedly do. Unitarian Universalism is a saving faith. It saves us from being a collection of rugged individuals in a social contract. And it transforms us into a covenantal community that is the very embodiment of a wondrous love. In covenant, we have done this work together. And although we will continue to do this work, to practice holding our fellow humans, our non-human kin, and the planet herself in love and compassion, we will no longer be doing it side by side. For here our paths diverge, but our love does not. The Reverend Tricia Brennan wrote a prayer for just such an occasion, and I would like to pray it with you all now. Is there not a goodbye in every hello, a death in every birth, an ending in every beginning? Doesn't everything change? What comfort can you give us, O Eternal One? For we do not know how to be at peace with all the change. We hold on tight to what is now, willing it to stay just so. We ask and we listen to anything you might say or show to help us loosen our fearful grip on what we wish to claim as ours to keep. We listen for a voice that might say, "Be not afraid. I am with you through it all. Stay in love with it all, from one day to the next, from one change to the next. Love what is joyful, love what is hard, love what leaves, love what comes next. Love it all, and then you will be all right." My beloved companions, I love you. I will miss you. And we will be all right. Blessed be, and amen.